I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on Metal Rules, I'm speaking with Niels of Orden Ogan for the release of their 7th album, The Order of Fear, which will be out on July 5th. Welcome.
Hello.
All the way from Germany, right?
Absolutely, that's right. Yeah. So where are you located? Somewhere in the US, I guess. Hmm?
I'm in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Oh, so that's on the East Coast, right?
Yes, right by New York.
Close, close to New York. Am I allowed to say that, or is it
No, it's all
from?
good. We're about an hour from the beach, the Jersey Shore. We're about an
Yeah.
hour from the Pennsylvania mountains, and we're about an hour from New York City.
Ah, all right. I see. Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Nice.
the best of all worlds.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, thank you. And I'm digging the new album. I'm really enjoying it. As with
Thank you.
all of your albums, there's always a concept wrapped around Alistair Vale. He's always on a mission. He's always on some sort of travel expectations. Can you share the story behind it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not like it's an outlined story from beginning to end, but as you said, like for every album, we're having not really a concept, but like a theme that's going throughout the album. Like, for example, the Gunman album was about all the Western things and so on, always mixed with something else. But there's always like a setting that the album takes place in. And yeah, and Vale, well, he's obviously our mascot, and he's a character that travels through all our albums basically and through the different settings and yeah, as I said, it's not like an outline that we had from the beginning, but
Yeah.
when we have a theme for the album or a tone set for the album, we try to put his story into the album somehow, or to imagine a new part of his story of his life, whatever,
Who
something like
comes up
that.
with the story of his life and the potential mission?
It's basically Zeb, of course. He's our mastermind. He writes
Yeah.
90% of the lyrics and so on. So usually it's him who imagines all his stories.
Now, does the songs itself, do they start with a riff? Do they, because you got some heavy riffs on this album, which are tremendous, as well as previous albums too.
It always depends. It can be a riff, it can be a melody, it can be a chord progression, it can even be a rhythm. Whatever inspires you to go on and write a song.
Are you always writing and stockpiling riffs for opportunities or new album releases, or is it more spontaneous? As you're working on an album, you come up with some ideas.
It's also it can be either way. I mean, when I'm at home noodling around on the guitar and I'm finding a riff, I will record it maybe just on the phone or so, or maybe do a little demo version on the spot, recording it on Cubase. Um, but also, I remember on one of the songs, Zeb and I just met, and we were just, yeah, we need one more song. What should we do? And we created it on the spot, basically. So
What was
it can
that?
be. It was Conquest, actually.
Oh, that's a great song.
Thank you, thank you. It was our latest single, and we thought, yeah, what is missing on the album? What kind of song? And in the past, we always liked those triplet feel songs like "Things We Believe In" or "Sorrow Is Your Tale." And
Yeah.
we thought maybe we try just a triplet thing somewhere in between those two songs, and then we just started off, and it actually came together pretty quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always magical when those songs, you just need one more song and you just comes together magically.
Yeah, I wish it would be like that all the time. Oftentimes, just you're sitting there for hours and you try different things and nothing really works. But yes, you have those moments where everything works very well.
How about Moonfire? That's my favorite song on the album. It's a perfect example of what the band does of merging power metal with melody. What was the history behind it?
Um, I think you have to ask Zeb about that because I wasn't involved with that song too much. But I remember that we had like the chorus, or Zeb had the chorus idea floating around, like maybe even a year before we were start to write for the new album. And he was always singing like this, moon fire, moon fire, something like that. And yeah, that was there pretty early. But about all the riffing, yeah, you should have to ask Zeb. I'm sorry.
No worries. What I did love about this album, and it's a little bit more, the guitar is a little bit more prominent in the mix,
Yes.
particularly Blind Man, Conquest, like we talked about. maybe a little bit more than the previous ones. What inspired the change, and was it the producer? How did it all come about?
It was a conscious decision actually to make this album a little bit more raw, a little bit more back to the roots, if you want. I mean, we've always had those orchestration things going on, and it's still there on this album. But we wanted it to be a little bit more in your face and a little bit more guitar centric, and yeah, just a real metal album, so to say. Yeah,
I love it. I think moving forward, you should, that's fantastic. It sounds great. What a noticeable difference. Yeah.
yeah.
Now, what I did like too is that your guitar sound, it's just full of bite and a real presence on it. Tell me about, did you change anything around for that? And what did you use in the studio?
That's also again a Zeb question, because obviously he does all the production work on all of our albums, and he managed to find that sweet spot to guitars that only he is doing. I'm using different stuff at home, like you can see, like tuned amps, whatever, and he has some stuff at his place. So when I record guitars, I do it with my own stuff, but he always gets the DI track, like just the pure, clean guitar signal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then he does with it whatever he likes. And but also on this album, as I said, the guitar sound is very important because it was supposed to be a guitar-centric album. I think Zeb spent some time working out the right frequencies and the right amount of distortion and so on. And yeah, but I cannot tell you anything specifically. Sorry.
And what were you have an ESP, I saw in the videos, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that it behind you?
No, that's a different one. That's a PVHP2 guitar. But I have several guitars, not only ESP guitars. We used to play Ibanez for a long time back in the day, but nowadays we're with ESP and pretty happy about that. And yeah.
Yeah. What made you switch in the band from playing bass to guitar?
Well, first of all, I have to say that originally I'm a guitar player. That's my instrument.
Yep.
But of course, at least when you play metal, it's the transition from guitar to bass. It's not that big of a difference, especially when you're playing with a pick. It's not like you have to do like fancy slap stuff or so on, or funk bass play, which is a totally different story. I cannot do that. But so what happened was that I got asked to be actually to help the band out because the bass player back in the day couldn't play on a tour, and actually that happened on 2 tours. And after that, they asked me to join, and they said, "Yeah, well, we know you're actually a guitar player, but we like you and you like us, and the music it's great. And would you like to join?" Yeah, so that's what I did. But then what happened in 2018, I think it was, Zeb broke his thumb. So at that point, he was playing guitar and singing. But we still had some festivals to play, and we were like, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, Niels, you play guitar. Not so important, but of course we want to do all the double harmony stuff on guitars and so on. So I learned the whole set pretty quickly, and actually Zeb noticed in that time that he was more free to interact with the audience, and his singing also got better live. And after that summer, he said, "Yeah, well, what do you guys think? Actually, I enjoy my freedom as only being a singer. And Niels, do you want to do the guitar?" And since that's my original instrument, I was pretty happy about that in the end. I said, "Yeah, of course." Yeah, and then we got Steven into the band, the bass player now in Orden Ogan for about 5 years already. And yeah, that's how that happened. Yeah.
Now, was it a hard transition? I mean, because you knew how to play everything on bass, and then you had to go and play it on a guitar pretty quickly. And your stuff is pretty complicated. It's not.
Yes, I mean, when I did the first festival shows, I think I sometimes played like more simple versions of the guitar parts because I knew the bass parts, and oftentimes they are pretty similar but not identical, of course. Yeah, and after that, after I knew I'm going to do this probably forever, of course, then I learned the parts properly. It wasn't a hard transition, but of course it was work to learn the stuff. Yeah,
I would have to manage that. You know, what I was fascinated too with was, your consistency in the sound. The band has a signature sound, and you always kind of stick with that. And I think fans love that and appreciate it and expect it from you. But is there ever a time as an artist that you, as the band wants to branch away a little bit from that? Do you have that flexibility? Do you have that opportunity to experiment a little bit?
Actually, I think we are doing that in a certain kind of way. I mean, if you listen to our albums back to back, it's not identical or whatever. Every album has its own sound, but it's always unmistakably Orden Ogan, I would say. And of course, it also has to do with the fact that Zeep is producing our albums from the beginning.
Right.
So he puts his own signature sound on all of the Orden Ogan albums as well. And I think there might have been a time in the past where we were thinking, yeah, maybe we should try a different producer, but I think it wouldn't work. It wouldn't really work. But I think what would happen in the end, maybe it would work to a certain extent, but then when it was done, Zeep would go and say, no, we have to change this and that. So actually, it would be more work in the end, I guess. So we just keep it like it is. And I mean, what do you mean by experimentation? We don't want to make a jazz album or so. We are Orden Ogan. We stand for a certain kind of music and for a certain style. And within that style, within that genre, we are actually experimenting, I think.
That's great. Now, it's been about 10 years since you toured the United States. Is there any plan to come back for this album and promote it in the United States?
Is it that long? Actually, we never really toured the US.
I thought you did in 2014, no? Am I wrong?
We played the Prog Power Festival 2 times. Actually, I think the last time must have been like 18 or 19, maybe. I'm not sure. It's like a few years already. And we also played like the 70,000 tons of metal a few times, although that's technically not US territory.
Yeah, it's about.
but we never really did a proper tour in the US, which is very sad. But we never got an opportunity that was doable for us. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But we're still trying to get there, and I hope it's going to happen one day.
You know, it's fascinating. I spoke with the guys from Halloween, and they told me that they don't even take amps with them anymore. Everything is all digital. Everything is all to just bring I guess a pedal board with all their effects, with all their sounds on it, and they just plug it right into the the house speakers, and it's pretty easy for them. They don't have to worry about shipping and.
Oh yeah, well, that's what most of the bands do these days, especially when you do flight shows and so on. We have also a digital setup basically.
Yeah.
No real amp, because it's like this stuff there in the background, my real tube amps, and then you need a cabinet, and it takes space and weighs a lot. And if you want to ship it like to the US, it's expensive.
Right.
So that part is not really the problem. But for example, if we would like to go to play the US and do a tour there properly, you need to do a lot of payments in advance,
Wow.
And then you need at least to know that you're playing like a tour package where you know you're getting at least enough money to pay for the touring, And so far we didn't have an offer that made sense to us. And go there alone, it would be a little bit too risky still, I think.
Yeah.
But we're still hoping on getting there one day, and we'll see. I cannot say anymore, I think.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I think you'd be great opening up for Iron Maiden or even Judas Priest too. I think that would be fantastic.
No complaints about that. I would do it immediately.
Even Metallica too. That would be fantastic. You guys would fit right in there.
If you say so, yeah. I take it as a compliment. Yeah, I would love doing that. So if they ask us, no problem. So if you're listening right now, Maiden, Priest, Metallica, if you want Orden Ogan to be your tour support for the S, we're in.
Right, Judas Priest took out Sabaton, and they were great. Fans loved it. I was at a couple of shows, and the fans really went crazy for Sabaton. And it was a great introduction too, because a lot of the people never heard of Sabaton, but they really enjoyed the military theme, and they really liked the songs. It's a great introduction. So hopefully you guys can work that out down the road.
I hope so too.
What songs are you looking forward to playing live from the new album?
We did a little tour at the beginning of the year already, like in April, and we already played the Order of Fear which was the second single, which was out at that point already. When we have enough time on the upcoming shows, like next week or the week after, we're going to incorporate also Moonfire and Conquest, I think.
Great.
But it always depends a little bit on the set length. You know, on a festival, you only maybe have sometimes like 50 minutes or 1 hour and so on. And we also don't want to disappoint the old fans and play the old songs too. So it's always a little bit complicated to put your new stuff in. But when we're doing headline shows, I think we will definitely play the new singles, the 4 songs that are out already. Maybe one more. We have to see.
Yeah, that'd be great. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for your time today. It was a real pleasure to speak with you, and I hope to see you come to the United States soon. I'd love to see the band. I dig the new album and all the previous ones. So best of luck.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Take care. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.